Marty is an expert in international relations. As humble as Mr. Peter. And then we have Chibugo Okafor. Chibugo Okafor finished the MBA here last year. Chibugo is a business owner from Nigeria to Ghana to the UK, importer, exporter, innovator. So please can I ask the three of you to please come and join Mr. Peter Obi and help us guide.
Well, number one is to understand the position of MSMEs in context of development of a nation. Greatest contributor to economic growth in any nation, even in the Western world, is this sector. It is the engine of growth of any nation. In fact, it's more visible, it becomes more visible in a developing country. Because this is where you have the core of your young people who are starting business, who are innovative, who are creative, who have everything. This is this sector. And I can't think of any economy that can survive without it. Like I say, in the developing world, if you use countries that are, let me maybe choose a number of developing countries that can compare with Africa, Nigeria in particular, because of the large population. You think about Indonesia. MS means in Indonesia, actually, in terms of employment, is almost 90% of the people that are employed in Indonesia is employed in this sector. It contributes over 70% of the GDP. In the biggest economy, well, in terms of the second biggest economy, and America, the biggest economy, in terms of productivity and biggest economy, today you can talk about China. In China, MSMEs contribute about 60% of the GDP, about the same in productivity and employment. China has 800 million people employed. MSME does about 60% with that 540 million. In the urban areas, even higher. And the same is what they contribute in their revenue. If you look at the budget of China, which last time I checked it was about 4 trillion annual budget, out of which 3.2 trillion is from tax. 50% of that comes from MSME. So you could see the operation. That is the position that we need to aggressively tackle in Nigeria. And you said there have been a lot of programs. You know, when I was talking here, I did say that we are not short of well-written programs. We're not short of well-written manifestos or documents. There's a lot of them. In fact, you will fill this place. You want to fill. In Africa, really, we have well-written programs in Nigeria and everything. But what is lacking is institutionalized institution to drive and implement these so-called beautiful policies and programs and the political way. So these documents are written, signed, and everything. Another happens to it. Give you an example. Africa, Nigeria in particular, was signatory to Millennium Development Goals in the year 2000. United Nations sat down and articulated what they can call a visionary agenda for developing nations. All the nations of the world signed it, including all the African countries, Nigeria in particular. This was supposed to be first was from 2002 to 2015. China went back to China and mainstreamed this agenda into their development from local, regional to national. And in 15 years, from year 2000 to year 2015, was able to pull 439 million people out of poverty. India put 276 out of poverty. I saw was there. But the reverse became the case in Nigeria because as soon as nobody remembered it, it was just after the signature, the paper was brought back and thrown somewhere. And that's the end of it. So Africa created more poor people, threw more people into poverty. What did they do? That's where MSME came. They supported MSMEs, small businesses, entrepreneurial businesses, and everything. So, what we are going to do is to bring a transformative, purposeful leadership that is committed in doing what it says, walking the talk and saying, we're going to do this. And I can give an example. I've done it in a small way as a governor of the state. When I came in and said, our first problem is education. Because when you're talking about development, three things are critical, which MSME comes in. You talk about development, you talk about HDI, Human Development Index. And these are three components of it. It is health, life expectancy, education. Very, very critical. Number one for me is education. Number two is education. Number three is the capital. These are the three things. So when we started, we adopted this ABCD and said this is our goal, strategize how we're going to deal with it, starting with education, because everywhere where people talk about building infrastructure, even as President was talking, the first infrastructure you need to build is the human infrastructure. Because that's what drives all our infrastructure. If you don't put your resources and money into education, forget it. Because it is when you educate the people that they are able to do the other things. You can't start doing anything without education. But when we started, we said, listen, we can't take this. Our schools must change. We must change everything. We must have an order. And when about 26, 27, where can they go? You can go and verify. By 2011, 12, they were number one. decided this is what we're going to do. And that's what I said here, that it will be visible, it will be measurable. We will do the same program that we're doing today, but we'll do it in such a way that the people will feel the impact. It's not just to announce it in radio and TV and then go home. No. We will be able to say, we said we're going to reach 1 million. We're going to reach 1 million people. And when people will see it, if we say we're doing, say, something along the we want to see the productivity in terms of, okay, we've supported this. This was what it used to be. Look at our support. If we say we're going to deal with the issue of energy, power, that we say, we should be able to say, when we started, it was generating, distributing 5,000. Today is 7. And people can feel it. Not just saying it in TV or telling you, I argue with everybody. You don't need to argue. If you say there's no power here, you bring power. You don't need to tell people. As governor, people used to tell me, let's go and commission the road. Because I'm passing the road. You know the road was not here before. So, people who are passing the road know the road is not here before. People know the schools have changed. So they don't need to say it. I was at an event yesterday, and Chimamanda told a story of how he met a student, a senior prefect, and the senior prefect told that as a student, she had my phone number. And the talk was just for the sake of it, but the young girl showed her test exchange between her and the governor. So when I said that every senior prefect, while I was governor, had my phone number, it was an argument. Everybody who was senior prefect when I was governor would tell me, they had my phone number. Because I wanted them to reach me. I don't want to hear from their teachers or their principals. I want to hear from them. And they were telling me the truth. So we will do the right thing.
So, Mr. Obi, very, very interesting answers. You did talk about solutions. I want to draw you in a bit more on that. In that, yes, you said infrastructure can be made available. All these things can be done. You need to start with education, etc. But what is the use in building schools? What is the need in putting up all sorts of infrastructure to boost education when actually school children in some part of Nigeria cannot go to school because there is a canker called Boko Haram that is eating into Nigeria, locking schools up, schools that millions of dollars have been spent on to build. Those schools are sometimes locked up, or people are chased from their communities, they can't go to school there, etc. What do you think, what's in your view, are the actual solutions to this problem? You can build all the schools, you can build all the infrastructure, etc. But if Boko Haram decides to lock out people from those communities, how do we go about that? What are you going to put? What measures, practical measures, do you intend to put in place to stop this scandal?
Well, thank you very much. The Boko Haram is not just stopping school. They actually, I will say to you that the first thing any leader in Nigeria needs to deal with is the issue of insecurity. It's number one problem. It's causing problems in every area, and you need to be very decisive and precise and deal with it alone. It's not just stopping schools, it's affecting our economy. Today, Boko Haram, banditry, and lots of criminality have chased out the farmers from the farm. The consequence that will have food inflation, which is the major contributor to our inflation today that is going south. So we need to deal with it. Again, you need to secure the place because nobody, no investor can come and invest in an insecure place and everything. And then put in education, which by that you secure the place, you can start dealing with the issue of education. And when people talk about banditry and all sorts of criminality, especially in the north and everything, again, it's a part of the cumulative effect of that Because people who refused to educate yesterday, abandoned yesterday, have suddenly become a problem. If we had educated these people, trained them, it would have been different. So what we need to do now is to aggressively go back to secure the place. People will say, how are you going to say? I will review the entire security architecture. It's one. And make it to be responsive and responsible. What do I mean by that? You have to be a definite position, and somebody must be responsible. And if you are not doing it, and somebody else will. So you can do that. You can secure it and put in place and make sure that all these people that Boko Haram is just in the way, that you're able to control it and invest more in education. You can do it. It's doable. It's something that, like I said, you'll be doing, people will be seeing it, it will be happening.
Yes, Mr. Obi, and I would maybe add this one on, and then Nicholas can come in with a question that is a follow-up to what I'm asking you now. But if you look at the Nigerian budget for 2021, $4.8 billion was assigned to the defense sector, which was a rise of 14% of the previous year's budget, that was $4.3 billion. Yet the Nigerian military and the entire security architecture continues to bemoan the lack of resources as one of the major reasons for which it is unable to tackle the insecurity problem in Nigeria. Interestingly, there also seems to be, there may be a lot of ironies in Nigeria, but one of the biggest ironies for me is the fact that Nigeria's security institutions, especially the military, performs incredibly well in international peacekeeping missions around Sudan, Liberia, Sierra Leone, mention them. However, it comes to Nigeria, and then the army commanders are like, no, we can't do this one. And I ask myself, how are you able to do so well in other people's country, but in your own country you cannot do anything? So, what I'm driving at is, do you have any specific practical steps that you intend to take to ensure that the security architecture performs as it is supposed to? Because Nigeria has the largest military in Africa.
Thank you. Exactly what I said earlier is to make it to be responsive and responsible. What it asks is what you said is the right thing. Why were they able to do this and then they can't do it within Nigeria? And I can give you an example of that. I always tell people that the teachers that were teaching when we were number 26 and 27 were the same teachers teaching when we became number 1. Nothing changed. But what changed? Leadership. I've come to learn in Nigeria and Africa, people don't do what is expected. They do what is expected. So we can do our job as supervision, and one of us, it was a debate. Schools were shut down for months. we are no longer, because that's what happens that when this money is used here, by the time it gets there, it's far less. So when we remove this toll gate, more money came here, and because we are not benefiting with it, we became very, very aggressive in our supervision, so that we will show this man, we chop it as well. So our job, so people do what it is. And I assure you, it will be different. I don't want to comment about the huge budget we save. Yes, the budget might not even be enough, but that little one must be supervised and made to be productive.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Obi. I would just like to return to Chibugo's question and follow up from that. We spoke about the challenge of economic development, SME development, and that's very much tied to the challenge of economic diversification. And that's a quest that Nigeria has been on for a long time. Reforms such as education, power, infrastructure, or security are very important, and they're targeted at the micro level. And we also spoke of institutions, right? And so the flip side of this coin is also thinking about the macro level and the institutions driving that. And one institution that's been very active in the field of economic diversification for the past few years is the Central Bank of Nigeria. And so, it has this multiple exchange rate policy. It has been lending directly to businesses, and this policy has been criticized by many internationally, but has also been defended as a means of fostering economic diversification. Right now, with the global environment, we know there is a strengthening US dollar, rising interest rates. There's a lot of pressure on the Nigerian economy, a lot of pressure on the macro. And so, and that makes the current setup increasingly unsustainable. So I'll be interested in knowing if, once elected president, what would you do from the macroeconomic perspective to promote economic diversification in Nigeria, but at the same time keeping economic stability, macroeconomic stability, which is a big challenge for the country, especially with regard to the Central Bank of Nigeria and its role in money?
Well, let me tell you why it is as if Central Bank of Nigeria is now involved in people lending directly to businesses, is failure of the fiscal responsibility. You know, like in a football game, and somebody is not playing his wing very well, you find somebody playing his wing and another person's wing. That's what the center back is doing today. If the physical space is doing the right job, central bank will be doing most of them. They would have focused on the monetary space where they should be. What's the stage in terms of diversification? There's enough, that's what I say, there's enough policies already. What you need is to ensure that these policies are implemented strictly. And this, first, just like we said before, to drive this process, you need to have elevated environments with certainty of policies. Not that you say this today and do this tomorrow. No. People need to have certainty that this is what it is, this is what is going to happen and everything. You mentioned issues of exchange rates and all this and everything and what is being done. Let me deal with this without even looking at what you're going to do. There's no other way. First, I'll tell you what is affecting the exchange rate in Nigeria. It's fiscal rascality and the country not being productive. If you have a productive country, which I'll later on explain, you export, you end the dollar, and you exchange, you stabilize. It's simple. There's no other thing to it. And if you have a physical rascality where you are printing money for subsidy, which I have mentioned everywhere as me, organized crime. Yes. So you turn money away, and you have massive corruption. This too is creating wealth without enterprise. And they're chasing this. Wealth must come with enterprise. They want the productivity. So if you say, when they will discuss businesswoman who owns business. Listen, nobody wants to see her doing very well, living well without an office. Let a big-time job. That is what we don't want. Any country where public office holders, politicians, and each other as businessmen, forget it. So we need to deal with that. And that's what I'm going to reverse. And that's what I know, that it is doable, it's reversible, so that we can bring all these talents. You know, you're from Brazil. Are you?
That's it.
What we're going through today, even the criminality and everything, was there in Brazil in the past. You have the problems. But look at what is happening in Brazil. The more you put people out of poverty, the more you bring stability, peace, rate of destiny. It's simple.
Well, thanks. Yeah, and there's a lot of parallels to be made, and the poverty and the security issues are very high. Things that you expressed very well. And also another challenge that's shared than Brazil and Nigeria and many other economies in Africa and Latin America is dependence on one resource, on natural resources. And you mentioned in your answer, you spoke of the importance of exports and of the importance of the fiscal situation. And like it or not, the main export of Nigeria is still overwhelmingly oil. However, it seems that Nigeria is unable to make the most of its oil. We see since last year we've seen high oil prices. But nevertheless, Nigeria has its fiscal deficit is still very high. Oil production is falling. There's security, there's government issues. And at the same time, high oil prices are reflected in higher fuel subsidies. And so I'm interested to know what would you do to make sure that Nigerians, ordinary Nigerians, make the most out of their vast oil wealth that the country still has?
Well, you know, the reason why we have a situation where you can see or compare with the world where there's high oil prices and we have food deficits. It's very simple. We're the only operating country the only operating country, apart from Venezuela, is sanctioned and is not meeting up on oil quota. The reason is because of oil tariffs. And I've said it everywhere. Oil in Nigeria is being stolen by people in government. Nobody can steal oil. It's not a sweet. You can't go into grocery shop and steal something and put in your pocket and go away and you're back. You can't steal oil back. For you to steal oil, a ship has to come into the territorial waters, load oil. And no ship can go into a nation's territorial waters without approval of the Navy. And you load it. For you to leave, you have to have approval. And everybody knows where every ship is on the surface of the earth. It's something that is recorded. So, if somebody is able to take away oil, there's a high level connivance between external and internal people who are organized for the oil to leave. And it can even trace down to where it is afloat. So it's not an easy thing to steal. It can only be done officially. And that's it. And again, it's worrisome because if you take an amount of money that we're losing, when we need, again, look at our exchange rate, when we need every dime, we're losing a huge amount of money, even when all the money won't come to us. I always tell people about what happened to us in July and August. We're operating a high level of budgetary deficit in between the January 1st of this year and about 30th of April. First 4 months, our revenue was in the region of about 1.6 trillion, our expenditure is about 4.7 trillion. So we had a deficit of almost 3.1 trillion in terms of naira. But in 2 months, said it might not be, all the money might not be coming to us, but sharing with our partners. We lost almost 2.83 trillion within this 2 months. In July, our oil production was, on the average, 1,083,000. Our quota is 1.8. So every day we lost 717,000 barrels. That's what we did produce. So if you take it in 1 month, it was about 22,227,000. At an average price of $110 a barrel in July, it was $2,445,000,000. And if you multiply that with the 550, I don't want to use the official, I want to use parallel. It gives you about 1,344,750,000,000. That's what we lost in 1 month. In July. In August, that situation was worse. We were producing 975,000. So we are losing 825 every day. Multiplied by another 1 month, we lost about 25 million barrels in August. And an average price of 100 is $2.5 billion. Again, we multiply by 555, it's about 1.4 trillion. So if you put these two together, in 2 months, you lost about 2.8 trillion. You had a deficit of about 3.1 trillion in 4 months. I cannot, so aggressively, we're supposed to pursue it and consider that we need every dollar now. However, that's why I said it's official stealing. Because if it's not official stealing, we have 200 million in population. We have about 60% youth unemployment with about 20 million youths don't know where the next will come from. If it's not pipeline, we can stand everybody on the line and make sure that nobody takes 1 barrel of it and prepare to go and stand on the line. All of us. But because people who are in government are stealing, they don't want to. I know we say everybody is looking for ways to put people to be in detention. This man is coming from. But you're saying this thing. Since we know this is missing, not all of us go and man the pipeline. This is not pipeline. If we stand there, who will take it? Well, they won't want us to do it because people know those who are taking it. So it's very easy. But even with that, there's so many other things you can do. Now, when I say we're going to move the country from production, from consumption to production, oil for me is very minor in what Nigeria can do. It's the list of our problems in terms of productivity. Today, we live on a vast land. Nigeria today, just see it, Nigeria today is, we're living on about 925,000 square kilometers of land, 200 million people. Our export last year, you are 250 million. Our export last year is about 10% of your export. It shouldn't be, because we have vast, all-cultivated land. A particular state in Nigeria, Niger State, we have a huge fertile land, and it's about 76.3 thousand square kilometers of land. Niger State can feed themselves, they can do anything. I always compare with, say, Netherlands. Netherlands without water is about 3,000 square kilometers. So Niger State is 2.5 times Netherlands. Netherlands last year did an export of $120 billion. And Niger State is waiting to share money from oil. And what they get is 4 billion. What they get is 4 billion a month, which in a year they get 50 billion. If they were able themselves and do just 1% of what the land did, in a land with winter and everything, if they're able to just do 1% of it, is $1.2 billion, which is multiplied the rate that we use today, 650. They will have about 750 billion, 5 times their budget, but they're waiting for 50 billion. So that's why I said we must move the country from consumption to production. There's a lot Nigeria can do. We don't need to wait for oil. With Vietnam, with half of our size in population, which is 100, they are 100, we are 200 million. They live on a third of our land. Their land space is 331,000 square kilometers. And the total export last year is about $312 billion. Ours is official rate is about $47 billion. And if you use the real rate, it's about 30. We can't be doing 10% of what those with a third of our land, half of our population is doing. And what did they export? They exported electronics, manufactured goods. They exported clothing. What is it? Clothing. But they did it. We have food tellers that are doing very well in Nigeria. Yes, that they did this $32 billion worth of clothing. That's why we earn from wine. The footwear, they got up even more money for footwear than we did in oil. So forget oil. For me, I'm not going to focus on oil, I'm going to focus on how do we get this vast land cultivated? How do we, and it comes to what we're going to do. We're going to put money in it. We're going to put everything, power, money in hands of the young people. We have energetic, talented youth that can change the world. But nobody has supported them. Nobody has cared about it. Like I said, they didn't call us some names and everything. They tell you, oh, they're doing some of criminality or the other. That brain and energy they're using to do all those things, if you reverse it, they use it for something positive.
Just like to think of the point we made about young people and the point made about getting to corruption in terms of the Nigeria has a greatly young population and is an even younger population in the Delta. People that community work in the UK, Nigerian heritage, but work in the UK. How would you encourage Nigerians such as myself to reinvest into Nigeria? And how do you encourage trust in the government?
Well, very simple. If you're talking about corruption, let me deal with what you mentioned about corruption. There's nothing difficult in fighting corruption. I'm not a saint. Nobody is. We are just trying to. But I always say to people, if the principal person, which is me, for example, is not stealing, or you reduce your greed, because often it's not just stealing, because people steal what they don't need. So you reduce your greed. Because when somebody starts owning houses all over the world, it's madness. Because they don't need it. So if the principal person is not stealing, your family and those around you are not stealing, you reduce it by 70%. Because we are going to approve what they will steal. So if you're not taking, nobody will take it. That's one thing I can tell you. I was governor of the state for 8 years. In that 8 years, I will show you something that my head of service wrote. Very fantastic article where it says stinginess as a development strategy. If you're not stealing, in the 8 years, we didn't owe one supply. We didn't owe one contractor the day I left office, I was executed in the job. And if you go, and I give you an example, we were number 1. I became governor in 2006. We started implementing the work of MDG in 2008. But by the time they finished in 2015, we were number 1 in terms of MDG implementation in Nigeria. So we lost 7, 8 years. Yet we're number 1. I've told you what we did with our schools. If you go those who were in secondary schools, will tell you, if you go to our secondary school today, you see 2 buses. When we went to HP to buy a computer, I ordered 30,000 desktop every day. They said, we've never seen this type of order in Africa. We said, we're going to pay you. We have all the things we did, a few things, which I will say they are very fine. But the day I left office, I was not owing pension, gratuity, cleared all the gratuity, outstanding gratuity. We're not owing salary, we're not owing contract, we're not owing anything. And we have in three banks. Access Bank of Nigeria, $50 million and over $10 billion for the state. We have a Diamond Bank, $50 million and over $10 billion. Had the same figure in Fidelity Bank. These are banks in Nigeria. So whenever people say to me about corruption, I say, okay, well, listen, I have managed to this state money. This is what I left. I have signed COOs of over 10,000. I have no single land belonging in Anambra State given to me directly or indirectly. I'm not saying I may say, but I'm saying, let us start. He said she will fight corruption. Let's know how she managed the last one we gave her. I know how you managed the last one we gave you. That's how we said, okay, this person can manage it better, or he's just greedy. I lived in the UK before I became governor. It was from here that I know. I always tell people, where I live in the UK is where I live till today. It's not changed. I declared that house and I live there. And also, when people talk about education and everything, I always tell people, because I went to these schools on my own, I came to George School there, and they managed to put my name as one of their alumnus and everything. And because I interact with a lot of people, and I know, I see them talk when one of us do something, but I said, listen, hey, wait there. I was in St. School here, I was in George School, I was in Cambridge, and all these things. People are from about them, so I just, by the way, they said, Peter, why did you go to all this school? I said, well, I just wanted to know whether there's something in their brain that is not in the normal brain, so I went to all these schools. So I can get more. So, what I said, because I passed through there, I'm also very careful. If anything goes wrong, and they put my name in, and the whole world will read it. So what am I going to tell myself? Why don't I just restrict myself and do what is right and go home in peace? So, what am I saying about corruption? You can control it. You can deal with it. It is not far. The other extension to the other question you asked, before I go to the issue of the diaspora. Whenever people test me, they say, we have a brain drain. Which includes me. But let me tell you, I said to them, you will be brain gain. When we get things working in Nigeria, the first set of investors we'll get is you. And we will fix it. And I assure you, all of you will come running. There's something I told you when I met that this evening. I told you that foreign investment is like bee and honey. If you bring honey here, close this door, bees will come in. And that's what I want to go and do in Nigeria. Fix the place, make it attractive, put low regulated environment, that people like you, they want to begin to get invest and make good money. You can't do it here in the West. It's so difficult to do it here. No. You can't do it any other way. The only place is when in Africa. All you want is rule of law and order, regulated environment, good governance. I want you from you see yourself running from all corners to come and invest. And that's what I'm going to do.
Mr. Obi, I'll draw you in on this a little bit. Yes, once you fix Nigeria, Chibugo might end up being in Nigeria to be an exporter from Nigeria. You have to be the UK go there. Even if she doesn't go, I'll push it. But just to join in on this. Yes, His Excellency Peter Obi fixes Nigeria in 8 years. Great. exporters are running down to Nigeria. Chibugu is no more in the UK. Everybody is gone, investing in Nigeria. Nonetheless, Nigeria is not an island. Nigeria is surrounded by countries that are either in conflict or are having challenges with security. Talk about Chad, talk about Northern Cameroon, the Sahel region, etc. As we speak, 316,000 Nigerians from the northeastern part of Nigeria are seeking refuge in Chad. As we speak, over 2 million Nigerians are displaced in the country. Not mainly because of the insecurity problem in Nigeria, but then they're very confident in fixing Nigeria. But how do you ensure practically that the insecurity in countries around Nigeria do not seep into Nigeria when you have expended all your energy fixing Nigeria, but then you realize that people actually have a problem outside that I haven't fixed or I haven't helped to fix it?
Well, you know, I said that foreign policy regulation will remain African-centric. That means that as we work hard to turn around and build a robust economy domestically, we're also working closely with other blocs in ECOWAS and African Union to ensure that things work in Africa, because honestly, Nigeria cannot be fixed alone. Other African countries, that's why they form African Pay Review Mechanism. We need to compare notes, we need to be sure. Whatever I say about Nigeria is something that needs to happen all over Africa. We need to have leadership that are purposeful, transformative, and committed to change all over Africa. And they need to compare notes. They need to be able to say, well, this is this and everything. That's what happens in other continents. If there's conflict today in any part of Europe, European Union does not just sit down there, tackle it as a union, because it will affect all of them. Today we have conflict in Ukraine, it's affecting the world. So everybody is trying to see how to stay together. We already have African Union, we already have West African Union. So whatever you're going to do, but you can only do that first by fixing your own internal position, making it stable, robust and productive. If you're not, you cannot respect. I always say when people say to me, G7, G20, G40, G whatever it's called, it is because of the economy. The economy is good. They put in 1G. Yeah. So all these G's are made in the economy. So we want to be the G's. Start bringing other people.
So I'll join maybe my final question to you, and then maybe she can ask about the African agreement. You brought in Ukraine, Russia. In 1963, Sir Abubakar Tafawa said, I'm not quoting, I'm paraphrasing him. As a people, we believe in our own rights as Africans, and we believe that we have a stake in the world. Therefore, we are not joining others to build their stake. Now, what that meant was that Nigeria was non-aligned, simplicity. But today in the UN, since the Russian-Ukrainian conflict started, we've seen that Nigeria seems to be shifting its position from that non-aligned status. Now I have two questions to this. In your view, do you think it's about time Nigeria took a position? And if it is, why? How will it be useful to Nigeria? Then the other question is, if Nigeria is seeking to be a permanent member of the UN Security Council, which it has been doing, which it's been seeking since 1986, how does that help Nigeria if it is shifting its position to one side? For example, if you were to shift to the side of the West, you still will need the approval of Russia and China and the UN Security Council to be able to get you to be a member of the UN Security Council if it doesn't remain a thing forever.
Well, my question is that you know, 1963 is a long way to remain where you were in 1963. Things have changed, that you can no longer, positions government take and everybody. One thing that is constant is change. One thing that is constant is, and when I mean change, transport will change, and things grow and everything. There's no way, you know, when I went to school, we take notes. I've learned to copy notes. I didn't know anything. I came to state school there to do a program, and when the guy arrived, they said every note, everything you need is in your system. I said, what do you mean? Where is the notes? They said, no. You go into your laptop, everything has been loaded there, your assignments, everything. I said, man, where is the notes? So everything has changed. So I'm not going to start arguing with them, listen. We want somebody to teach me to do this, and all my assignments, I have to submit it. So everything is changing. I want to tell them, I said, the cost is changed. I have to change. I didn't know when I was going to school, and one day they started me doing this. How many people who did Zoom, these fathers of Zoom, in about 2015, I was in America for something, and they were telling me about the meetings you simply as you just take this. Somebody was asking me to do, I said, take it that you're talking about the report. Here we are today. Everybody says to me, hey, wait a minute, you can. So the world is changing. I cannot say today because instead of having Zoom meeting, that I want to see people physically, because we used to see physically in 1970s. No. You change because the situation has changed. So Nigeria has changed. When you talk about where we are, for me, issue of Ukraine and Russia, I'm of the opinion that it should be dealt as aggressively as possible through dialogue. To believe it.
You only have time for one more question, so we'll move to your
Well, just in line with the change being constant, we recently signed African Trade Agreement. Looking at Nigeria, the African Regional Integration Index, we scored quite poorly. There's poor trade integration within the African nation. Nigeria's largest trading partner is China, and I think about 3% of imports coming in from other African countries. How do you plan to foster multilateral trade with other African nations so that when you have refined or reformed those internal structures within Nigeria, Africa at large is able to benefit off of that as well?
You see, inter-trade within Africa is very critical for Africans. In terms of trade today between continents, between continents, Africa is the lowest. It's far about 5% or so. Every other continent, Europe is over 60%. In South America, North and South America, it's almost 50%. In Asia, it's almost 40%. In Africa, it's 5%. So, for you to do that, it will help the overall Africa. Africa today is a population of about 1.4 billion, the entire Africa. With a per capita of about $2,000. You need to trade is at the heart of economy like that. Africa today needs to grow its GDP to a minimum of about 10 trillion. It needs to increase its per capita to what it is today, which is the minimum average. You can find in other countries. Other continents are talking about, of course, Europe is about 30,000 for the whole of Europe. And if you look at the productivity and inter-trade, it will surprise you. a continent like Europe. Europe is the total population is the third of Africa. In terms of land size, the same thing. But in terms of trade, intertrade, and everything, they are about 10 times. So there's gaps, and these are things you can do in order when Africa is in trade, when Africa becomes productive, it will go a long way. After is something I will embrace. The reason why it is as if Nigeria is dragging their foot in after is because we've not fixed our internal position. So when you are not fixed the internal position, you don't want to, like when somebody says, oh, let's come out for competition. You say, no. I'm not prepared, but you need to train your own team and be ready for the competition. But the other thing is saying, okay, let's go. So we need to fix it, and we need, it's not rocket science. It's something you can do. If Nigeria today can increase power, production, distribution, I can show you just power. If you deal with what this one first I said, for every 1,000 power you add, you could add probably for every 1,000, half to 1% to your GDP. So you can aggressively pursue this. You can bring the intangible assets of rule of law and order, which is a sort of a regulatory environment. There's nothing that is in the UK here. The biggest contributor to the UK GDP, I live here, is intangible assets of rule of law. Because you're sure that if I buy a house in Oxford, or I invest in a property in Oxford, if I do anything in Oxford, if anything goes wrong, there's a place I can go and complain, and somebody will listen to me. If somebody says no to me or sell assets to me, I'll buy a company, I'm not going to have a problem. Nobody's going to charge me for power that I didn't use. Nobody's going to. So everything I have to do, if you bring all this benefits, which are you trying to do, you change the place.
Thank you. We're going to move on to audience questions now. So please raise your hands and I will call
Okay, thank you, Mr. Peter. My name is Adebisi Adenikeokun. I'm studying for Master in Public Policy here at University of Oxford. We know that leadership is influence, and you have communicated so well to us today your dream about Nigeria. If elected as President of Nigeria, you cannot do it alone. One set of people that we have continued to overlook in quest to make a change in the country is the civil service. My question to you is, what is your perception of the civil service in Nigeria today? And how do you want to work with civil service to achieve your dream for Nigeria? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Chioma Achida. I'm a postdoctoral fellow here at the University of Oxford. My question is simple. To be able to, you've spoken about a lot of nice policies, but to do this, you also need the support of the legislative arm. So, I do know that there are not a lot of people who are contesting under that power now. How do you intend to get that support when you get into power? And then secondly, we've had a recurrent issue of presidents, Nigerian presidents, going outside the country for treatment. So if you become the president of Nigeria, how do you ensure that that doesn't happen? And then on a final note, I want you to know that the movement of those young people is for our generations to come. We want to get to a point where if you get into position, we want to get our children back to Nigeria. Thank you.
No. One more question. One more. Take it. One more. No, don't worry, take him, please. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Unlike many of the people said here, I am actually a student from the University of Edinburgh. I'm studying African and Machine Learning. My name is Mr. Basadi. My question to you, Mr. Peter Obi, is actually hinged on something that you just said. I was going to ask the question, but I found something to connect to in the course of your speech earlier. And it is about corruption, about the fact that what we need to do to address corruption in Nigeria is to reduce it. I slightly disagree with that because apparently almost every politician in Nigeria would of course want to have tarred roads, good infrastructure, bring a couple of legacies to be proud of. But we tend to think that we can actually do the bare minimum and still survive. And at the moment, what Nigeria needs is not just a reduction of corruption or a reduction of greed, but rather somebody who would just not expect anything. Now, I'm sorry, going back to 2019, there was this conversation around how you invested part of funds from Anambra State in companies that you were somewhat associated with, or companies that you were extended funding, you had an interest in. Now, it's very difficult to understand because for independent readers and independent thinkers, it would be difficult to see Mr. Peter Obi as this saint that he is being portrayed as. Now, I would now want to ask you this question. The problems that we have in Nigeria are not just economic. We also have social problems. Sometimes the insecurity problems are not just attacks. Yeah, sometimes the insecurity question and the insecurity issues that we have in Nigeria are conflict issues that need some kind of resolution. Without trust in a political leader, who, for example, in 2019 saw no problem in investing state funds in companies and yet investing, how can you address these social problems given the kind of questionable public image? Thank you.
Well, let me do this fight, and I'll start with Tony. Let me tell you, when they asked that question in 2019, did you get my answer?
Yes, but I wasn't satisfied with the answer.
What answer did I give? I said it's false. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, you said you invested.
Which company? And I'll give you an example. And we invested in a lot of companies. For example, we invested maybe in, say, 10 banks. I'm just giving you an example. And because I'm a shareholder in one, they say it's a company I'm interested. I have interest in. It's like somebody told me yesterday, they said he didn't do anything. He just saved money. I said, I wish other leaders didn't do anything and kept our money. We would have been far, we would have been so happy today. But we didn't see the money, we didn't see anything. So, the investments, let me give you a typical investment, which anybody can say, I was involved with the family, or my family is interested. We didn't invest money in it, and the investment was minimal. We put land. Somebody says, I'm coming to invest here. I will say, the state will give you land. This land will constitute this percentage for us. And we invested in it. We put money in it. It wasn't a situation where the state is looking for its money. So when people talk about it wasn't a state, it wasn't a situation where I put this money in my private business. I didn't invest in a business that I own, but I own a share in, say, Standard Lloyds Bank here. And as Prime Minister, I felt I needed to save money, and part of those we invested was Lloyds Bank. And people say, oh, you invested money. There are people who are saying, where did they invest their money? They invested So we didn't take it. I agree with you. It would have been a situation where I invested money in Obi and Sons business. And let me tell you the company they are talking about. It's International Breweries. International Breweries is, I'm just trying to, where's the biggest brewery in Brazil?
Where it is?
The world biggest brewery.
Is that InBev?
InBev came to Nigeria. I came to the UK here. Kneeling down as governor, I brought South African breweries into Nigeria. South African breweries bought over InBev. InBev wanted to brew in Nigeria to do Budweiser, do everything. And I went to them and said, please, come and do a plant in my state. They came to Anambra State. We gave them land. That land converted into equity. Having them build where they are producing Budweiser, all these things and everything. Okay, Anambra became the vice shareholder, even signed an agreement with them that they are going to employ 60% of their workers will come from Anambra State. Gave the land, did everything. And again, okay, fine. Because of our relationship with them, that as a trader, I brought them into Nigeria. We own maybe around 1% of it. They said, oh, he brought the company that is owned by him. You know it, that nobody can own any multinational. He has no business. So that's it. It's not a beer and sons. It's not people talk and everything and all that, and the money invested in it is there. It's clear where the money came from, and the investment is there. Everybody can see it. Let me tell you, that facility is the highest taxpayer in Anambra State. I want you to take it. It's the highest tax in terms of income. It's the highest taxpayer in Anambra State, employing 60% of Anambra State. So I want you to trust me. Let leaders of Nigeria invest our money where we can see it. Keep it, even if they don't do any work, keep the money. Even in religion, I'm a Christian. In Bible, somebody they said the man said he would have kept his money if he was a wicked man. At least he can find his money.
Moving on to the next question, please.
Thank you. This one is long. The rest will be long. You know, on medical tourism, I can tell you, issue of medical tourism as governor, I've not had the opportunity of traveling out for most times, quite frankly, when people talk about medical tourism, it's not as people make it look. We, people in government, don't know. We have fantastic doctors locally. I live here. I had an opportunity of going to hospital here. But I can tell you, I've not been to hospital because I'm usually sick, you know, but I've had cause of heart damage, a very minor, yes, because when I told them I'm going to stand here, they said, oh, everybody has to sit down. I prefer to stand up. I've had cause to have a minor procedure here. But what was shocking is that the doctors there didn't know what was wrong with me. It was doctors in Onitsha who said to me, you need to do something about this. Just remove it. You can't have it. And I came here and saw Dr. here and he said, look at what they told me. He said, yes, we can do it. I said, okay. He referred me to somebody else who is again a white person. He said, yes, we can do it. I booked for hospital, ready to do it. The day I went into that hospital, guess what happened? Two black people told me, no longer the doctors were telling me, and the two black people, one is from Nimo, one is from Ondo State. So, we have enough doctors, we have people who can do this things at home. It's psychological, many not say things that make people say, oh, want to go to this place, go to that place. Some of those places are very better, you know, but we need to improve. Absolutely. By improving it, people will stay back. In issue of the legislative act, let me tell you, the legislator is constituency, there's criminality, there's issue. You can work with them and that. Doesn't talk about civil servant. I'll tell you the same thing. The civil servant, I said here, and the same thing. You can do what is instructed, and they will. ask you something. Can I have my phone? I told you something. My head of service for the first 6 months. You know when I became governor, within the first 6 months I was impeached. They threw me out of office. Because they didn't understand what this man is trying to cause. And everybody was happy with it because, hey, I was a driver carrying passengers who have since passed their destination, and the only thing they can do is to remove it. But I always show this. My head of service, uniquely, very uniquely, I'll tell you, very uniquely, wrote something that is when I started this journey. My head of service is one of the best trained people, a son of a famous judge in Nigeria who was respected. And when I came into office, every day she was there crying, people are not happy with you, people are not this because of what we're talking about civil servants. The civil servants are not happy, they want to go on strike, they don't want to, oh no, what is this man? Where did they bring this man from? This man is here causing confusion all over the place. And so were the status. Not one came from my party. So I was working with prominent people and everybody was complaining. And that was the basis of my impeachment. Because they said, whatever he wants to do, he was cutting costs, I was saying this cannot happen, but I'll show you that. Look at it. I mean, I signed doesn't from head of service on that one of people. Look at the topic. He said, can you read that?
Stinginess as a development strategy.
Stinginess on them. So when I was talking everybody was complaining. But what happened? After 1 year, I started paying off the gratuities they were owing. Started paying off the pension they were being owed. They were everything, and they were, where did you get the money? I said, it was not the money that I saved. Because when I came into office, the office of the governor was consuming about 30% of the money. And I said, no, we'll bring it down. Education, 10%. Health, 10%. Road, this. By the time we see resource allocation, based on INDG, office of the governor was left with 4%. So I needed to chop off everything. Governor of Anambra State does not need a lodge in Abuja. He doesn't live in Abuja. No. We don't need a presidential lodge. We don't need this. We don't need this. They had even, like in Nigeria, they had what they call office of first lady. My wife didn't contest the election. Nobody contested the election. So why am I going to have office? Two of us are very close. That's okay. And she knows me and my wife are like this. When she's looking for this, my wife and she looks for. I said, these two of us are one. Let's hold one office. Let's close down this one to save money. And that's what's wrong. We find money. But that didn't go down well with people because they have office advisors to the first lady and everything. You're advising someone who has no office, no just to create confusion. The civil servant will do what you want. Yeah. Show you the status. When you put things and you're doing it transparently and everything, like she asked the question now, there's nothing wrong with the question to ask. I said it here, I'm not a saint, but I have strong considerable evidence that this is what I did. Those who are claiming, where do they leave money? Where are they going? So let everybody come and tell us what is done, and then we take it from there.
Thank you. So I'd like to thank you for joining us here at the Institute. I'd also like to thank the President of the African Society for joining us. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming.
Just quickly before we end this, we will have
this wonderful time. Basically, what the appeal I'm making as I go around, I said it at the beginning, that there's a lot of us who are applying for this job to be CEO of this enterprise called Nigeria. I thank you for inviting me. And I know you've invited other candidates as well. And I wanted to give them opportunity of coming to be with you the way I was with you today. is that people come, tomorrow is saying, I didn't say it, it was my party or somebody who said it. We want to listen to them what they want to say. Nobody goes for interview. All of you go one day looking for a job. Nobody's going to go for interview for you. You go physical yourself. So we are now looking for job. It must be a physical appearance. If they like, let them do it through Zoom. But they want to interview directly. But I prefer in the corner. There's enough way to come here. You know, it's trained. Somebody, I've already bought train ticket where somebody offers to drive me down. It's train, very easy. If you come out of train, it's the same business school. You can come anywhere. You want bicycle, there's enough bicycle, enough fun, anything you want. So let them come. Don't allow people. Next year's election in Nigeria should not be based on ethnicity. Please, I'm begging you, for those of you who are Nigerians, for those of you who are African and everything, who are supporting Nigeria, do not support any ethnic group against the other. There is no ethnic group in Nigeria that buys bread cheaper than the other. They are all suffering. There is security everywhere.
Yeah.
North, south, east, west, no place is safer than the other. So, next year's election should not be based on religion. Christians don't buy bread cheaper than Muslims. Neither the Muslims buy it cheaper. Or that the Muslims don't have one, the electricity. And whenever people tell you about religion, tell them that these two things I'm saying is elite conspiracy to control the confusion of living of our nation. If you go to Dubai today, I'm a Christian, a Catholic. The Catholic church in Dubai, the land and the church was built by any of Dubai. It's written in the wall. And he comes there from time to time to worship them. So it's not about religion. It's not about religion. We have countries that are doing very well. So what they want to divide us. That election should not be based on my tongue. It's nobody's tongue. The tongue of Nigeria. Nigerian youth, don't want their tongue. So it's nobody's tongue. I don't want anybody to vote for Peter Obi because it's from the southeast. Should not be your consideration to vote. I don't want you to vote for me because I'm a Christian. I don't want you to vote for me because of my tongue. Nobody's tongue. I don't want you to use any of those primordial considerations to vote for me. What I want you to do is to put 18 of us on the scale and say, who can we trust? Our biggest asset and physical asset today as Nigeria is the vast uncultivated land in the north. If we put our resources there and make Kano, Kaduna center of processing and everything, turn around and develop other areas of Nigeria, Nigeria can move its export today easily from about $40 billion to $200 billion. We won't be talking about debt of this because we stabilize the naira. And we have the energy. If we put money today in ICT, in entertainment, in sports, Nigeria has good talent. In Brazil, part of the finest engineering in sports. It's the same population you have that we have. And we are very good in sports. It's not as if you have different legs and have different legs. You can do everything you're doing. So, all we need is leaders that can know that this is important and guide the process. And that's why I call it less greed. Every country of the world is corruption.
Yeah, that's true.
It is the quantity that makes it different. I can tell you, even here, go to anyone. If you go to South America, I was speaking to somebody from Korea, and said yes, that in their place, they require 5–10% will go somewhere. So we need to reverse it. Because you cannot say, hey, you will stop everybody. Crime has not stopped everywhere. There's no place in the world where there's no crime.
Yeah.
Everywhere in the world. You listen to those things by transaction. Part of why people are not doing anything here is because there's no even, nobody will even see money to steal. Because everything is technology driven. There's no few, money doesn't stay here. There's all this thing. If you put money in people's hand here, you will miss it all over the place. You put me anyone. So we must do all those things in order to drive the process, make it more transparent, bring rule of law, so that if anybody does something that is wrong, is punished.
Correct.
Not that there's anything. So adequately reduce the greed again, make it more efficient, make it more, and drive the process. You know, and that is what should be. Next year's election in Nigeria should be based on character with people. On competence, not on any other thing. On capacity, on commitment to start changing Nigeria through delivering visible, measurable goals that everybody can feel. Nobody says we want you to achieve 100% result. We want to see 100% effort. We want to see your commitment that this is a concept, you believe in it. And those things you're saying and you're doing it. We have to stop the abuse of our country. And people like you here have the capacity in the only two ways to contribute. The society will keep you quiet and allow them to abuse today. We only do one thing. You want to come back? No, you can't come back. Because there's no place to go. I want you to come back. If you don't have to change it, it will take revenge on you and your children. God bless all of you. Thank you.
And you already started to do what I wanted to start with. But I wanted to tell a special guest of honor, His Excellency Governor Peter Obi, as I call him, and my brother, that his own 4 C's, character, competence, capacity, and commitment. I've been very public about my own 4 C's, the character, competence, compassion, and courage. And many others have their 4 C's. So I'm absolutely honored that you have demonstrated in the short time that we've had together, through practical examples, some of what you will do to tackle the challenges of a great nation, Nigeria, so that it can realize its potential, so that so that Africa can realize its potential, and so that we can truly have a world that does work for everybody. But I just want to add that there is one other attribute which I would like people to see that you've shown, which is E for energy. I don't know how you do it. Because I heard you traveled to 4 or 5 cities in the US. You were in Nigeria on the 2nd of October, traveled to 4 or 5 cities, and these are commercial flights. And you arrived today in the UK and in Oxford at 3:45 p.m. So you've got an absolutely amazing energy. The other thing I wanted to say is that if we left it to Governor Peter Obi, as I've always referred to him, we served on the economic management team of the president together when he was governor. He would be here responding to every question that each one of you has asked. But the Oxford Union has been absolutely wonderful, and I want to thank the president of the Oxford Union and all of the team. There was somebody upstairs and others and the man who's wearing the red, who's been guiding the students who have organized this through this. And we have to be respectful of them because we need to make sure that we vacate this premises, this beautiful historic place in a few minutes. So that's why we're not able to take all of the many questions that people are asking. I also just want to say, especially to the Oxford Union, a big thank you. So please, if you can join me in giving them a round. And to the Africa Society, particularly the president, Emeka, the past president, who was one of our panelists, as a matter, Amaka, a past president of the society, and many of you who are the African Society members for pulling this off. First, for having us be in the rarefied group, the Oxford community, who have hosted an amazing, phenomenal African leader who is intent, not for private gain, but to see change happen in Africa, happen in Nigeria particularly, and happen in society. So thank you, Emeka, to you and your colleagues. Nicholas, Azamata, Chi, Joshua, I am so excited about what the world could be with people like you. I hope each one of you in your own time will be leaders in your country, leaders in society, because what you demonstrated through the issues that you raised today, for me, is phenomenal. I'm so, so proud. So please give the panelists also. And to my brother, and His Excellency Governor Peter Obi, as I continue to refer to him, I hope I can say President Peter Obi in a few months' time. I hope that I also speak on behalf of the entire Oxford community. And all of those, my brother who's traveled from Edinburgh, I have a brother who I met 2 days ago at the London Business School at a forum that I spoke at on sustainability and how to finance sustainable growth in Africa. And he promised me, you should wave so everybody will know who my brother is. He promised me that he'll be here today. I found out 15 minutes just before this started. And who said she must be here and brought his daughter and others, and you need to wave as well. Thank you. Who is a professor in climate policy, and all of those who decided that it is important for us to hear from a leader who has demonstrated, first of all, that he's done it before. And I like the obedience who say, go and verify. Yes. A leader who has demonstrated that he is open to learn. He wants to, bring up your issues. He will respond to them with data. I was trying to keep up with the data on the oil stealing. The one I could retain was in August, 25 million barrels of oil were literally stolen. And for those of you who know that I'm on Twitter, I've already tweeted that. This is a leader who has his facts right. This is a leader who has done it before. This is a leader who has shown us practical examples of what he will do on day one. So all we can do, sir, is to wish you well and to pray that a leader like you who has compassion, who has courage, will succeed in leading a nation like Nigeria, which is so important to society. I do want to then say, please join me in applauding our special guest and also applauding yourselves.